thing about COVID-19, it doesn't care about how rich you are, how famous you are, how funny you are, how smart you are, where you live, how old you are, what amazing stories you can tell. It's the great equalizer. And what's terrible about it is what's great about it. What's terrible about it is it's made us all equal in many ways. And what's wonderful about it is that it's made us all equal in many ways.
Oh yeah. Have you seen what's going on almost everywhere in the world, Madonna? People are barely surviving. They're fighting over anything to eat. Talk about privilege.
Security forces in Venezuela have arrested at least 400 people after the latest bout of looting and food riots sweeping the country. A youth was shot dead in the state of Mérida, bringing the total of deaths to 4 in the past 2 weeks during clashes between those searching for food and security forces.
Instead of coronavirus, the hunger will kill us. A global food crisis looms. The world has never faced a hunger emergency like this, experts say. It could double the number of people facing acute hunger to 265 million by the end of this year. In the largest slum in Kenya's capital, people desperate to eat set off a stampede during a recent giveaway of flour and cooking oil, leaving scores injured and 2 people dead. In India, thousands of workers are lining up twice a day for bread and fried vegetables to keep hunger at bay. And across Colombia, poor households are hanging red clothing and flags from their windows and balconies as a sign that they are hungry. We don't have any money and now we need to survive, said Pauline Karushi, who lost her job at a jewelry business in Nairobi and lives in 2 rooms with her child and 4 other relatives. That means not eating much. The coronavirus pandemic has brought hunger to millions of people around the world. National lockdowns and social distancing measures are drying up work and incomes and are likely to disrupt agricultural production and supply routes, leaving millions to worry how they will get enough to eat.
It is what's great about it. What's terrible about it is it's made us all equal in many ways. And what's wonderful about it is that it's made us all equal in many ways.
Farmers in South Sudan know it takes more than shouting and sticks to ward off a plague of locusts. But the coronavirus crisis is preventing the delivery of pesticides, so they're losing a war against hundreds of billions of locusts swarming through East Africa, devouring crops and livelihoods.
Last year, we had to feed 5 million people due to fighting and flooding. Already in 2020, we've had locust invasions, and now there is the COVID-19 pandemic. Which we predict could almost double the people in acute hunger by the end of 2020 across the world.
The UN's food agency says the world is on the brink of a hunger pandemic. It predicts the famines of biblical proportions within just a few months if action isn't taken.
In my conversations with world leaders over the past many months, before the coronavirus even became an issue, I was saying that 2020 would be facing the worst humanitarian crisis since World War II for a variety of reasons.
The World Food Programme's 4th annual report shows that last year, 77 million people were suffering severe food shortages due to conflict, 34 million because of climate change, and 24 million due to economic crises. It predicts lockdowns, disease, death and recessions caused by COVID-19 will double the number of people suffering acute hunger by the end of the year. Those 265 million people live in 36 countries. It highlights 10 of those countries where the pandemic could be catastrophic for millions of people whose lives are already hanging by a thread.
The spread of coronavirus have led to food insecurity across the globe, but the director of the World Food Program says the worst is actually yet to come. David Beardsley is also a former governor of South Carolina and recently recovered from a case of COVID-19 himself. He warned CBS News that the world may see a global humanitarian catastrophe.
we have really got a lot of work to do. We've got to work out these issues immediately. Otherwise, we're going to have famines unlike anything we've ever seen in history.
Beasley also said he could see the UN General Assembly coming together virtually if the coronavirus pandemic is still an issue when it's time for them to meet again in September.